Welcome to the tutorial on the 5x5 Rubik's Professor Cube. Now, this cube is pretty much similar to the 3x3, more so than the 4x4. Why? Because it has a defined center on each face which will not move, which removes parities when solving the yellow cross, but considering the more amount of cubes we have, introduces a new form of parity of sorts, which happens when we're solving the last two edge pieces. But simple algorithms, and then basically it's pairing the centers, like the 4x4, pairing the edges, and then solving it as a normal cube, finalizing the yellow cross. And without further ado, let's get started. Okay, now that you've scrambled your 5x5 cube, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find the white centerpiece, as I found here. Now, pairing the centers of the 5x5 is very different from pairing the centers of the 4x4, in that you're going to want to build lines, or that's the method I use anyway, so I'm going to teach you the method of building lines and combining centers. Okay, now, in this video I do expect knowledge of how to do the 3x3 and 4x4 as they come into handy, and this is kind of a crash course tutorial, because going into detail would take hours on how to solve the 5x5 with the different kind of centerpieces you can get. So, let's just jump into it right now. You find the centerpiece, and there's a white centerpiece, and we're going to want to create a white line. So you're going to need to find something like right here. There's a white centerpiece, and there's another white centerpiece right there. So I'm just going to shift that up and shift it over to create my first white line. Now, when you're doing this, you will want to avoid having corners here, but if you just have one, it's fine. Next, you're going to create another line, like a duplicate line, but you're going to keep it off the face for now. So as you see, we have mostly completed line. We just need one more piece right here. And fortunately, this piece right here, if we shift it down, that's going to fit into place. You see? To repeat that move one more time, shift it down, and then as we learned the 4x4, these two pieces become our hot zone. So we're going to move it out of the hot zone and back up. I know we don't have to actually protect any faces here, but it's just good to always keep making sure that you're protecting your faces. Okay, now we're going to just shift that up into the white face. Okay, next we are going to get the last line. So, I found two pieces right here, and this piece, if I move it down, it'll fit right in between them. Move it out of the hot zone, and now with the 5x5, you're going to have to deal with more like rows of cubes, as in the 4x4, when we would move centerpieces, we would sometimes combine centerpieces in a harder way where we'd have to move it like twice back or twice forward after we'd be building edges or centerpieces. But in this one, you're going to have to deal with different rows. You're going to have to sometimes move this one up and that one down to get something you want into place. But as long as it works, you're fine. And then move your newly created line up right into the top layer. Okay, now you've created the white center. So let's flip it over and create the yellow center per the 4x4. What you're going to do is you're going to move the yellow right there, because we have a partially completed line, as we found similarly in the white. And we're just going to shift it up there, move it out of the way, and shift our white back down into place, similar to the 4x4, by creating a hot zone and then removing your piece from it. Okay. We have two edge pieces here, which a middle could easily fit in between. And we have a middle piece right here open for it. So what we're going to do is we're going to want to rotate the face, because you never want to shift the pieces you want to combine all into the same face, because it's hard to combine them in the same face. So what you're going to do is we're going to move these middle pieces down, move them out of the hot zone, and then move it back up to fix our white face. Okay, now we have a middle here, and we need a middle there. So it's pretty simple. No, sorry. Put the middle right here, where it would combine, and fit those together. Now, we currently have no faces right here, so I guess we don't really have to move any hot zones back. But we do have to, when we move it up, twist it and move the hot zone back with nothing in it to fix our white side. Okay, now we need to create the last line, and as you see, we have an undesirable situation here with three pieces we need to combine on the same face. So what we're going to do is we're going to shift the yellow center out, because I find it easier to combine the yellow center into the two edges that are paired, because when you're trying to combine two edges, that's two more things to move back. You know, just find this easier. I'm going to move this up like that, so it's in the position of being, it'll be right there when I move the middle back. So let's move these right there, so that when I do it, it combines itself. Then, remember, considering it's our last one to combine, and we have something on the bottom, we have to put it on the same axis as another completed line, so that when we move it out of the hot zone, we drag it back, it drags it back with it. So here you have completed 2 full centers of the 5x5 cube. Okay, now let's get started on the blue center. What you're going to do is you're going to pair it up in a line. So here's a blue center, here's a half completed line. Just pair those 2 up like that. Very simple. Okay. Excuse me. Now, let's make another line. So here's a half completed line, and here's a piece that'll fit right perfect into there. But we'll be disrupting this, so we'll have to move it out of the hot zone. So that, move it out of the hot zone, go back. Still have our completed line. We need to combine this into that. So move it that way, and move it twice over. That works perfectly. Now, we have an edge piece here, we have a middle piece here. We want to combine these 2, and I could just like drag it over here, move it out of the hot zone, drag that back, but that drags the middle piece back. And I could get them both out of the way, but then they're on the same face. So it's just easier if I were to do it like this. I see when I drag this down, it's going to be right here. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to flip this face around twice, so the middle piece is right there, and then combine them like that, and then move it out of the hot zone, and move it back. Very intuitive, somewhat like the 4x4, though not completely the same. And okay, now we have our final piece of the blue, and combine with our line, combine it, and then move it out of the hot zone, and then combine it, and move it back. And now you have completed 3 centers of the 5x5 cube. Okay, now on to the orange face. I know I'm kind of going fast on these faces, but anyone who knows how to do the 3x3 and 4x4, this should come pretty naturally. If you need any more help, please post in the comments, and I will post a video going slower. But my main focus will be these last 2 faces, because these are the hardest part. But for now, let's go in the orange face. So we have a middle to combine, and we have a half completed line, missing a middle. So let's just combine those 2, move it out of the hot zone, and bring it back. Okay, that works. Now, we have a middle piece which could combine in between those 2. So we're gonna, but we can't put these, there's no way if I can put the middle piece right here and get it combined on the same face. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it 2 faces away and move it out of the hot zone, and then put it back just so I can move it like that. So we see both our middles right there, and then piece right here to combine. And then move it out of the hot zone and move it back as normal. So then, trying to combine our last couple of pieces. Let's combine those 2. And then, oops, I went the long way there. Okay. I need to get this out of the way. Put it where I want it. And there we go, our last completed line. Okay. Now comes the hard part. You have 2 centers, and this one's supposed to be red, no by the centerpiece, and this one's supposed to be green, no by the centerpiece. But we have to pair it perfectly. Now the ideal situation would be that these 2 are red, and you have 2 opposite, like 2 greens on the red face, and everything else is red, and 2 reds on the green face, and they're lined up, because it's very easy to solve from there. So to get to there, what I'm going to do is you have 2 reds lined up here, and 2 greens lined up here. And I'm just going to line it up, because you see it lines up red there, and then shift the face so I'm moving these greens back out of the way. But of course there's more greens waiting. Then we're going to combine these reds, shift it out of the way, and move that back. And we have entered our ideal position, where we have 2 and 2. Excuse me, it's allergy season. So, the next part is fairly simple, but I know a lot of you will be struggling on this part alone, getting it like this and like this. You may get middles missing. It's really just you have to kind of swap and then turn it and go back, and I don't fully understand it myself. It's kind of hard to comprehend for me, but basically what you're going to be doing is fairly simple. So then, you're going to want to line it up like this. Now, I have an undesirable situation. If this red was over here and this green was over here, when I moved it over here, the greens would line up and the reds would line up, and I could twist it and move a full line back to the green. But no, so what I'm going to have to do is actually what probably a lot of you will have to do. Just move it over, move it back, and like that. So you'll get 1 and 1. What you're going to want to do then, this is when your desirable situation comes. You're going to want to line it up so the one piece of red you need is where the other one's going to shift over to you, see, like that. So I'm going to shift it over like that, and then I'm going to move it up actually, because I see if I can move a full line back, at least I can keep a full line. So move full line, but now you see this is damaged, and I do not want that, so I'm just going to try it moving this back instead. And moving that back, I kind of right where it was. And this is the struggle of the centers on the 5x5. So, what we can do instead is we can try something undesirable like that. I just paired those up randomly and did that, and somehow it paired. You have to really think ahead when you're doing this, considering I'm pushing this there, and then when I pull that down, I see that green was waiting to be combined like that. But you have to think many moves ahead to do this. I would recommend as a beginner just to kind of randomly do it. But then as you get more advanced, start thinking about it. Okay, then it's pretty simple from this point on. Combine that. Okay, now you finished all your centers on the 5x5 cube. That's very simple. Okay, now comes edge pairing, and this is extremely simple. There's a center edge on every thing, so you're going to want to find the center edge. I'm going to find the green. I'm going to do the whites first. White edges, so white and orange, right? There's white and orange right here, but if I try to combine them, see, they're not flipped and opposite. Now, this one is obvious. If it's not flipped and opposite on the right side, then it's meant for the left side, and same with the left side. It only fits in on one side of the cube. So, as we learned in our 4x4, turn the face twice, and then just go like that. You see? It was on the right, and it wouldn't combine, so you turn the face twice, and go twice down to the left. And as we saw, move our edge over to the side, replace it with a broken edge, and then move it back. Very simple. Now, let's find that edge. Okay, we have 2 pieces completed, and we need to complete the 3rd piece, and here's our 3rd piece. So we're going to move that up and into the top layer, but as you see, it's going to interfere with this one, so we know this piece has to go on this side. So let's move it over here, down twice, as we learned in our 4x4, replace it with a broken edge, and voila! Now, this edge is conveniently almost completed for us, so why not just finish it off, considering I said I would do whites first anyways. This one, I can already see if I do it right there, it's not going to work, so let's move it right here, down twice, over, broken edge replacement, and fix it up. Essentially, we're just breaking our centers for a moment and then replacing them with a broken edge so we don't mess up any of our good edges. Okay, now, excuse me, we found a desirable situation, but an undesirable situation at the same time. Maybe a little confusing. We have red and white and red and white. Now, considering we found the center, we can just go up, up, right? But here's our center, and these are flipped in opposite. So this is probably the worst condition you'll ever get to replace, but it's still simple. You're going to have to pull each side down twice to complete the edge, because when it won't work this way, like normally you just normally flip it over, like that. But now you have to pull both sides down, because you don't want to just waste an opportunity there. And then as usual, put a clean edge on top, but then replace it with a broken edge, so that clean edge is still safe, but you have to move each one up twice this time. Each axis up twice. Okay, now, what we're going to do is we're going to continue on with these edges. So, let's go to the green and white. And here's one right now, so move it in the top, but it's flipped and opposite. It will not work. So then, put it up there, combine it with a broken edge, which conveniently has our next piece. So let's track that next piece right conveniently next to our current built edge. And then, put it in place. It works. Put a clean edge up top, broken edge on bottom, broken edge replacement. Oh, but that edge has what we want. You see the two that match up. So that's not completely broken. We don't want to do that. So let's move to the next edge. This edge is completely broken. Okay. Now we completed all the white, so let's go to this. This one's kind of fixed. And here's the other piece. So put it in the top layer, and it is flipped and opposite, and it works. That's great. But that's, remember, we don't want that. But you see this. So here's a situation when you have to think. When you get an edge like this, if you know you move the outer layer, which is the same as the incorrect, see if I were to move it here and replace it, I'd be replacing the incorrect part of a half-completed edge. That's okay. Because when you're lucky at the end, you'll just replace it and it'll fix it and all your edges will be solved. That actually happens sometimes. Unfortunately, though, not this time. But for now, you're good. So let's find, you see, blue and orange, and they are flipped the right way. So we need to find the blue and orange center to flip them into right here. You're not flipped in opposite. So move it over here, and the most undesirable situation, as I said, but there's one broken edge right there. So there we go. Keep fixing it up. Okay. Now, let's get on with this. Orange and yellow, but I can just tell because it's going to be right here, and we already have a piece right there. Let's see, flip it down, wouldn't work. Let's just move it back there, down like that, over, replace with a broken edge, and back. Now, same with the centers. If you have any complaints or am I going too fast for you, which I most likely am, I'm kind of speeding through this tutorial, otherwise it would be, as I said, very long. But if you have any complaints, just file in the comments and I will create linked videos that will show this in much more detail, each individual step. Okay, now, let's combine these edges, which are other pieces conveniently right here. So, let's combine it. Broken edge, and broken edges, as you're going to see, are going to start to become more rare. Now, 2 wrong here and 2 wrong here. When I see I have 4 broken edges, I have a habit that makes it easier for me to solve them. I put all of them in one layer, or one face. It just makes it so much easier for me to comprehend which ones are the easiest to put together. And you see we have the right flipped and opposite greens, and we actually have it right here. So, but as we see, it won't work, so move it twice, move it up, clean edge, broken edge, move it down, and move it down. Okay, now we're down to 3 edges. And I see we have another good situation right there. I actually saw this edge a long time ago. I think it was in one of my examples I used, but it'd be a great time to combine it. So, it will be left with 2 edges after this, which leads us to our first algorithms after this. Yay, algorithms. Okay, now, this is a desirable situation when you have 2 matched on each side, and this is the indesirable part. Your incorrect part should be on the right, not the left like it is here, and it should be able to fit up into it perfectly. So, simple algorithm to fix the orientation. Right side up, top over, left side up, top back, front face down to the left, and then right side down. And that will make your edges, so they're on, well, this one's on the left, but if you flip it over, this one will be on the right, and it fits up perfectly. And this is where we start our algorithm. But before we do that, there is one other thing I should explain. As you notice, that algorithm I just did to switch these around was from the 4x4 tutorial. So since you can solve the 4x4, if you have memorized or have written down the corner parity algorithm, it starts with right middle down, top top, left middle down, front front. You know, the one that fixes the flipped edges on the 4x4. If you get this format, but this one is flipped over, or this one is flipped over, or something is not right, and these two are together but one of them is flipped, you're going to want to face the cube towards you and do the exact same algorithm as you did on the 4x4. Just ignore the middle and just like use the right middle, in the left middle, the front, and the top to, like, solve it. And if you do that algorithm once, it should fix the flip. And I will create another video if people misunderstand this and post it in the comments. But okay, now once you're back to this point, and you have something that'll combine into a full edge, and it's on the right, excuse me, you have to do this algorithm. Left, like, we're going to be using the 2 on the right at once and the 2 on the left at once, so I'm just going to refer to it as left or right to make it easier on my vocal cords, which are not in good shape right now. Okay, left, up, top over twice. Left, up, top over twice. Front twice, and then left up, front twice, right up, top twice, right down, top twice, and then left down twice. And you will have completed all the centers and all the edges of your 5x5 Professor's Cube. Now, for the ending, this is probably the simplest part. You treat it like a 3x3 and only move these outer layers. And you see, I'm starting to get the white cross like on a 3x3. Same thing you would have done at the end of a 4x4. But the better thing about the 5x5 is there are going to be no parities on this cube. That means you will not have to do any confusing algorithms. Well, you had to do them to solve the other parity, but yeah. When I first started to learn the 5x5, I thought I was never going to have to do those 4x4 algorithms on this, and I was completely wrong, and I was pretty mad at that. But this is, frankly, the easiest part of the cube, and it solves exactly like a 3x3 because of the centers, just that you move the outer layers. So, just finishing up the middle layer here. I find 5x5s much easier than 4x4s personally, just because of the centers. Though I do hate the part when I have to do my final algorithm, because I used to be able to do it really fast, and I always move the middle parts, and so I have to keep a grasp on the middle, and that's helpful because if you mess up your middles and you keep on with an algorithm by accident, you're going to have to re-solve the cube, unless you're someone who has the algorithm written down and can solve it backwards. In that case, I envy you, because I've messed up this cube while doing an algorithm before. My cube sticks a lot. Okay, and with that, you have completed your 5x5 Professor's Cube. So please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching the video. Goodbye.